Now broadcasting from beautiful downtown Tallahassee, it's Classic Movie Reviews with Snark.
Welcome to today's show. My name is John. As always, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes or follow the links to social media in the podcast show notes. You can also go to snarkymoviereviews.com to read notes, bios, and other random movie thoughts. Remember, this show is completely free and independent. All I ask is that you jump over to iTunes and give me a review. Today's movie is The Mask of Fu Manchu, 1932. It features many European actors with taped-back eyes, but I'm going to go with that's how it was done back then and move on. Boris Karloff and Jean Hersholt were amazing in their roles. Myrna Loy was fantastic playing an evil, sex-crazed fiend. I'm used to seeing her in roles like The Thin Man, 1934, and The Best Years of Our Lives, 1946. Of course, this movie has archaeologists, which always draws me in. Boris Karloff was up to the role of Dr. Fu Manchu and was as good as anything I've seen him in. We first covered Boris Karloff in Episode 7, Bride of Frankenstein, 1935. Jean Hersholt played a German member of the archaeological team named von Berg. Although the theme was dark, Hersholt delivered with a light touch. We covered Jean Hersholt in Episode 64, Mark of the Vampire, 1935. Steve Clemente had a very small role as a knife thrower. Clemente was first covered in Episode 1, King Kong, 1933. Louis Stone played Nyland Smith of the British Secret Service. Stone was an American actor. He went to fight in the Spanish-American War and returned to a career as a writer. By the time he was out of his teens, his hair had already turned white. He began acting in 1915, but took another break to serve in the cavalry during World War I. Following the war, his white hair allowed him to be cast as an older and more respectable character. He started getting better roles such as Don't Neglect Your Wife, 1921, A Prisoner of Zenda, 1922, Scaramouche, 1923, and The Lost World, 1925. He received an Oscar nomination for The Patriot, 1928. He moved easily into sound pictures with The Trial of Mary Duggan, 1929. Other movies include The Big House, 1930, The Phantom of Paris, 1931, Red-Haired Woman, 1932 with Jean Harlow, and Inspiration, 1931, Matahara, 1931, Grand Hotel, 1932, and Queen Christina, 1933, all with Greta Garbo. In 1938, he took the role of Judge James Hardy, father of crime solver Andy. Mickey Rooney played the role of Andy. Stone had a heart attack and died in 1953. Karen Morley played the role of Sheila Barton, daughter of Sir Barton. Morley was born in 1909 and was adopted by an LA family in the mid-1920s. She attended Hollywood High School, and her interest soon turned to acting. She studied at the Pasadena Playhouse and was signed by Fox Studios. Her big break came when Howard Hughes cast her as a blonde gun moll in Scarface 1932, which starred Paul Muni. Boris Karloff had a small part in this movie, too. Morley starred in Mata Hari, 1931, with Greta Garbo, Arsène Lupin, 1932, with John Barrymore, and Dinner at 8, 1933, with Jean Harlow. In 1934, Morley left MGM over her intentions to start a family and marry director Charles Vidor. Morley was the third of four wives, with Evelyn Keyes of Episode 38, 99 River Street, 1953, being number 2. Morley continued to work as a freelancer until 1947, when she refused to answer questions for the Communist Hunting House Committee on Un-American Activities. Morley died in 2003. Charles Starrett played the role of Terry Granville. He was playing football for Dartmouth and was hired as an extra for the quarterback 1926. After that, Starrett followed the path to vaudeville, then to stock stage work, and finally to Broadway. He was spotted by a Paramount scout and signed to play in Fast and Loose, 1930. The good-looking young man was cast in many roles, but nothing really remarkable. In 1936, he signed with Columbia, where he was in 115 westerns over the next 16 years. In the 1940s, he was a top cowboy actor, and his roles include the Durango Kid. Slowly, these B-movies dried up, and Starrett left acting in the early 1950s. Myrna Loy played the lovely and totally evil Fay Lo Si. Loy was born in Minnesota in 1905. Following her father's death, the family moved to Los Angeles. She began acting at the age of 15. While acting in a local production at Grauman's Theater, Loy was spotted by Mrs. Rudolph Valentino, who worked to get her parts in movies. Her first film was What Price Beauty, 1925, followed by Pretty Ladies, 1925. Loy was able to easily transition from silent to talkies. When she acted in Satan and Sables, 1925, she was able to land a studio contract with Warner Brothers. She slowly moved from playing a vamp, Huzzy, not vampire, to a wholesome lady and wife. When her contract with Warner ended, she moved to MGM, where she immediately got 2 good roles. These films were The Prize Fighter and the Lady, 1933, and the other is Nora Charles in The Thin Man, 1934, with William Powell. In total, she was in 6 Thin Man movies and was an important part of the series' success. Her roles slowed in the 1940s and 50s, but that didn't stop her from being a major part of one of the greatest movies of all times. She was the glue that held The Best Years of Our Lives, 1946, together. Loy had very few films through the 70s, and her last film was Summer Solstice, 1981. She passed away at the age of 88 in 1993. Lawrence Grant played the lead archaeologist, Sir Lionel Barton. Born in England, Grant traveled to America in 1908 with a repertory company. Grant was always fascinated by Native Americans. He was able to spend time with several tribes and shot a good bit of color motion pictures. He went on a lecture tour and showed his films. He was also able to have a 25-year Hollywood career. Grant died in 1952 at the age of 81 following 4 hard performances during a heat wave. David Torrance played maybe Scottish archaeologist McLeod. He was born in Scotland in 1863. David followed his older brother to California, and he began working in silent films such as Tess of d'Iberville's 1913 and The Prisoner of Zenda 1913. However, David preferred to work on Broadway. Due to economics, he returned to Hollywood following World War I. Now in sound pictures, he was a standout in Disraeli 1929, A Successful Calamity 1932, and Voltaire 1933. His roles became smaller and smaller until by 1939 he was at an end. However, this was not before appearing in Queen Christina 1933, Bonnie Scotland 1935 with Laurel and Hardy, Mutiny on the Bounty 1935, Captain Blood 1935, The Dark Angel 1935, Lost Horizon 1937, Rulers of the Sea 1939, and Stanley and Livingston 1939. Torrance died in 1951. Story: The Commissioner of the British Secret Service, Sir Nayland Smith, Louis Stone, asked Sir Lionel Barton, Lawrence Grant, to travel to the Gobi Desert in China to find and obtain the mask and sword of famous conqueror Genghis Khan. Smith says Fu Manchu is trying to obtain the mask and sword and will use it to raise up all of Asia.
The British government is asking you to risk your life again.
Oh, very well.
All right, then. After you leave here, you're going to the British Museum to meet some friends of yours. You're going to ask them to join you in an expedition to go to the edge of the Gobi Desert and hunt for the lost and buried tomb of Genghis Khan. And you must be the first to find it.
Why all the hurry?
You know Fu Manchu?
Yes?
He's trying to find it, too.
Oh, I didn't know he was an archaeologist.
No, he's not. He's insane for power. What do you expect to find in that tomb?
Records? The golden plate with the threat of Genghis Khan to return, the golden mask he wore, and the famous golden scimitar.
Exactly. Of course, in your hands, these things will be merely interesting archaeological specimens to go into the British Museum. But should Fu Manchu put that mask across his wicked eyes and take that scimitar into his bony, cruel hands, all Asia rises.
Barton heads to the British Museum to meet other archaeologists for the trip. When he enters the museum, he is being watched from inside a mummy sarcophagus by an Asian man. He picks 2 men to go with him, Von Berg, Gene Hersholt, and MacLeod, David Torrance. He reveals he may know the location of Genghis Khan's tomb. They plan to meet on Sunday and leave on Monday. When he walks out of the back room, 3 mummy ninjas attack and kidnap him. Barton's daughter, Sheila, Karen Morley, and Terry, Terrence Granville, Charles Starrett, go to Smith's office after a week seeking word on the kidnapped Barton. Smith knows that he has been kidnapped by Dr. Fu Manchu. The other archaeologists have agreed to continue the expedition, and Sheila and Terry sign on against Smith's objections. Over in China, Fu Manchu, Boris Karloff, has Barton brought before him.
You're Fu Manchu, aren't you?
I am a doctor of philosophy from Edinburgh. I'm a doctor of law from Christ College. I'm a doctor of medicine from Harvard. My friends, out of courtesy, call me Doc.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Fu tries to buy him off first. Then his smoking hot Dragon Queen daughter, Phalo C, Myrna Loy, comes in. She is offered to Barton as well, but he again refuses. He is then drugged off to the torture chamber. They strap Barton under a giant bell and do a version of the water torture with sound. The others travel across the desert on camels, and Sheila shows them the presumed location of the tomb. The English and their hired coolies begin excavating in a cave. Currently, we use graduate students for this type of labor. Fu continues the torture. Back at the cave, they are using burros with baskets to haul out the dirt. They find the tomb and are lowered in by rope. All 4 English people go down. As they open the tomb, they debunk the curse of King Tut.
Look, solid gold, enough to pay a king's ransom, and sealed with the seal of Genghis Khan. Terry, give me your knife.
Remember the curse on Tutankhamun's tomb? All the people connected with it died soon after its opening.
That's a lot of bosh. Silly superstitions.
Nice homage to other horror movies. They then get to the inner door, which contains a curse. They go right through the door. They recover the sword and mask off the skeleton. The workers come in and bow before the body. The English fire their pistols into the air to drive the workers out. Fu is having a Mongol leader banquet. He cracks hard on his daughter.
I have brought you here for great tidings. I am the most unfortunate of men. I have no son to follow me. Therefore, in shame, I ask you to receive a message from my ugly and insignificant daughter.
She gives the prophecy that Genghis Khan will return to conquer the world. The archaeology crew makes it to a mansion for the night with sword and mask in hand. Smith is there waiting for them. They have to hide with no lights so Fu doesn't find them. They take the goods upstairs to a place that looks like it came from Game of Death. McLeod agrees to be locked in with the goods all night. There are spies and thieves all over the grounds. One of Fu's men throws a grappling hook over the house and slides from a tree. He throws his knife and hits McLeod in the back, but McLeod manages to shoot and kill him. In the morning, they bury McLeod out back. Smith tells them the plan is to leave that night. Terry goes on guard duty, and there are still spies in the house. When Terry goes into the yard, a hand with Barton's ring flies over the wall. Fu's messenger asks for the sword and mask to be delivered to the shop of Goi Lo Sung on the Street of the Dragon, or Barton dies. Sheila convinces Terry to deliver the sword and mask, and he ends up at the palace of Fu Manchu. Phalo C thinks Terry is beautiful. Fu puts the sword to the electricity test, and it fails because it is a fake.
You check Fu Manchu? That's the sword we found in the tomb. Lies, you cursed son of a white dog. I'll flay you for this.
I tell you I didn't know those relics were found in the tomb. Listen to me. I tell you I didn't know that sword was a fake. I swear to you I didn't.
Terry is hauled to the torture room, and Phalo C happily goes along. She has a great time watching him be whipped. Kinky. She takes him back to her bedroom and starts to get all kissy face. However, Fu has other plans.
He is not entirely unhandsome, is he, my father?
For a white man, no. May I suggest, however, a slight delay in your customary procedure?
You have further need of him?
I have. He shall still be the means of discovering for me where they have hidden the sword and mask.
Back at the mansion, Smith is interrogating Sheila about where Terry is. About that time, Barton's dead body is delivered in a rickshaw. He has a dragon stamped on his forehead. They have to give Sheila a sedative. Smith reveals that he had a fake sword made and hid the original. Goi Lo Sung is the entrance to the House of 10,000 Joys. Smith heads to the fun place. Smith bribes the owner to get into the opium den.
Ming! Ming!
Too small.
Oh, small? More big? I get.
No. What I really want is a little comfort, huh? A little rest. Pleasant dreams, perhaps.
No. No can do. Not for white man.
He is given a bed and some opium, but he quickly slips away into the lounge and back. Seeing the dragon tattoos on the girls, he knows he is in the right place. He throws a gas lantern and escapes into the back during the confusion. He falls through the Buddha trap door into some old tunnels. It's not long before Fu shows up and takes Smith prisoner. Fu takes Smith to Terry, who is being transformed into a zombie for Fu. Fu extracts spider venom and uses a boa constrictor to bite another man. He uses the man's blood to mix with the spider venom as the bitten man dies. Fu then uses a sparkler to heat the potion as he adds powder. He administers only a small dose. Back at the mansion, Sheila wakes as someone lurks outside her window. It is Terry, but he seems a little weird. Terry says Smith wants him to leave in the storm and head for Peking. Sheila seems to see through the trick. Von Berg and Terry go out to the cemetery where the sword and mask are buried. When they dig it up, the trio get into a horse-drawn wagon and head out. In the deep woods, they are set upon by Fu's men while Terry howls madly. The trio, the sword, and the mask are taken to Fu's palace. The sword passes the test. Fu lays out his whole plan. Classic mistake. Sheila tries to bring Terry back from his trance and fixation with Fei Lo Si. He comes back, but they all still get hauled away to the dungeon.
It is my pleasure to show you how I entertain my guests. You, Miss Barton, will be taken to the room of the Golden Peacock, where you will be prepared for a sacrifice to our gods. And you, my dear doctor, will follow my slaves to the room of the Slim Silver Fingers, where I am sure you will be more than comfortable. And at sunrise tomorrow, as my chieftains are assembled in the temple below, you too and your compatriot, Sir Nyland Smith, will have the pleasure of entering your Christian heaven together. It will be your honor to be the first white martyrs to perish at the hands of the new Genghis Khan.
At sunrise, they put Smith on a teeter-totter over alligators. Von Berg is taken to the spike press, and Sheila is dressed to be sacrificed to the gods. She is drugged and ready. Terry is being remade as a sex slave. All of the Mongol leaders assemble in the Great Hall.
Kill the white man and take his women.
Fu dresses in the mask and a Carmen Miranda hat, which seems a little odd. Smith gets untied and walks on alligators way before Pitfall. Von Berg struggles to get free as Sheila is brought in to be sacrificed. Terry overpowers two black weightlifters as Smith shows up to help. They get to Von Berg in time to save him. Fu gets the sword, and the three Englishmen run to the electrical sword testing machine. It just happens to have a portal to the room where the Mongol leaders are located. Von Berg turns it on and zaps the sword in Fu's hands. Terry picks up the sword and gives him a chop. He flees with Sheila as Von Berg and Smith zap the crowd. On the boat back to England, Smith gets ready to throw the sword in the ocean when a gong rings.
There may be other Fu Manchus in the future. By golly, after all that's happened, I wouldn't be surprised to see the hand of that fellow Fu Manchu get out of the ocean and grab it.
I don't think there's much danger of that.
Well, Genghis Khan, wherever you are, here's your...
Did you hear it?
Peanut is, sir.
After a small fright, they realize it's just the dinner bell. World famous short summary. Boy struggles with two different girls. If you enjoyed this week's show, please tell your friends, and if you really want to help, drop over to iTunes to give me a review. If you want to comment, recommend the movie, or just say hi, follow the links in the show note to my site. Beware the Moors.